Let's talk about this book, Hints on Child Training by Henry Clay Trumbull. This was written by Elizabeth Elliot's great-grandfather on her paternal side. I came across it this week while I was doing some reading around her writing, and I thought, oh, this is fascinating. It was so refreshing because I just finished editing the deep dives on Ted Tripp's Shepherding a Child's Heart, and here was this little slim, it's not very long, it's available public domain online, you can find it if you want to search for it, volume that all sprinkled throughout are chapters on the agency of a child, on the person of a child, the rights of a child, the sorrows of child, the importance of empathy with the child. So I found all that really interesting as a contrast. And so I want to do a couple of reels spotlighting some of the distinctions we see in a Christian parenting volume written in 1890. First, who was Trumbull? Well, he grew up in New England. He did not have formal education beyond the age of 14, though he did get honorary degrees from Yale, Lafayette College, and New York University. I love getting the bios of these people. He went on to do a variety of careers with the railroad and with the Sunday school, and then he became ordained as a congregational minister, was a chaplain in the Union Army in the Civil War. He ended up being prisoner of war in several Confederate prisons. And when the war ended, he went back up to New England, and that's when he became the editor of the Sunday School Times, which was just a national publication for Sunday school, the Sunday school missionary movement, because it began as a missionary movement to serve underprivileged children who couldn't get an education in a different way. We think of Sunday school as maybe kind of a bonus part or like childcare in the church, but the origins of that movement were really childcare, child-centric, and focused on serving the needs of children who otherwise would not have an education or be served in that way. Okay, so that's a little bit about Trumbull. I love when he opens up, he's going to open up with a preface. Not only has he titled his book Hints on Child Training, which if you've followed me talking about these resources for any amount of time, you know, I'm often saying, oh, it would go a long way just to deflate these books out of the realm of God's way, the best way, the right way, the only way, down to here's some advice. That would go a long way toward helping free people up to recognize their own agency as parents. And Trumbull does that right from the get-go. He says, look, I've been a father and grandfather. These are experiments and observations I've made. I kind of present them with fear and trembling because I know enough to know what I don't know and how individual children are different. I love that posture of humility. It's so refreshing to find because it's very rare. Other kind of opening things I found different. He defines his terms right away. And some of this is the era he's writing, late 1800s, where things were, even the fact that it's arranged as kind of articles. And so there's a very specific structure and flow. There aren't really chapters in the development of chapters, but almost like a expanded outline. But he defines terms. He defines from the get-go what he means by child training, how that differs from just teaching, what he thinks about it. I would say the first half of the book has more spiritual authority language than the latter half. So when he opens, he wants to define a Hebrew word about training and how this means kind of helping a child eat. And so he's using some spiritual imagery. What I'm not seeing in this book is the spiritual authority language, kind of like God says parent in this way, which of course makes sense given what he's just said about these being hints and this being kind of observations he's made. So you do see spiritual vocabulary, but it's not coming with the same authoritative weight.